All right, in this video, we're going to actually talk about the podcast template. So let's say you are recording a podcast and you host it on iTunes or Stitcher or one of the other hosting services, and you're trying to figure out where do you put that to be able to share it with your audience. Now, people can find it in the iTunes store, but let's say you want to be able to protect your podcast or get people to sign up for access to your podcast. Well, putting it inside a 22Social app would be a great way to protect that content, get people to click on an app gate and register their name and email address as a listener so that you can communicate with them beyond simply the one-way communication from your podcast out to them. So here's a few different podcast templates. Again, you could just have the podcast itself. You could have the podcast and some other links below it, and a variation on that theme with maybe the ability to have comment section as well. So just a few options. Let's go with the simple one here. Okay, we're going to go ahead and change that template, and we'll look at how to embed a couple of different media options here. So when it comes to the content, we want to go ahead and click on content here. We'll get the content pop-up options, and I want to change media. So right now, right now there's a Stitcher podcast in there, and I'll click on media types, and there'll be a few different options that we can choose from. As soon as this loads, we'll see, I think it's, you can have a Stitcher individual episode, which is what we were just looking at there, as well as, okay, so let's go over to audio, right? So a Stitcher feed, so you could have your show, if you're on Stitcher, every time you upload a new one, you could have the entire feed listed there. In this case, this is just a Stitcher episode, I think. You can have RSS feed of MP3 files from any number of places. So if you host MP3 files on a site that you want to pull a feed from, you can do that here. And Blog Talk Radio as well. So let's go over and look at Stitcher. So this is an iframe of a Stitcher episode. So let's go over to Stitcher. Here's a Time Magazine or NPR or something episode that we want to embed. So all I do is I click the embed, and I pull this code, or I can copy this code and then bring it back over here and replace it right there. Okay, oops, that was the, I didn't actually copy it, so that was the old code from the YouTube channel. But you see how that works. Blog Talk Radio, same thing. I just want to pull the embed code, and let's go over to Blog Talk Radio. All right, here's a recording of a show that I was a guest on. All you do is you click embed, or the share link basically, and you can grab the embed. I'll copy that, and let's go back over to the app. Copy that, and I think this is just an individual episode, so I'm going to go ahead and hit preview, and it now should change. Let's see if it's going to load the podcast that we had. Okay, so there's you know what? We had the image. I think I replaced the main image is what I did. I didn't replace the podcast here. So it was the image that was posted up there. But now you have the embed of the interview that I did right here. So that's basically how it works. And you could actually, it looks like you have multiple podcast episodes in here as well, as you can see from this example. So there you go, how to protect podcasts. Now, if I had something I talk about in the podcast, and I want to say, grab this thing that I'm referring, or here's the link to something, I can post those links right down here as well. So I can do show archives. I can, so let's see what happens if you click on that and you want to access the archives. Oops, it looks like they didn't actually put in that sample a link to where those are, but you could send people back over to iTunes or Stitcher or to some other place where you included archives, and then a share button there. So lots of different options for how you utilize this template as well.